The new student, the space station called Orion 7, floated in the darkness between stars. It was huge, bigger than most cities on any planet. Thousands of beings from different worlds lived and worked there. But the most important place on the station was the Galactic Academy. Young people from 12 different star systems came there to learn. They studied science, history, languages, and how to work together in peace. On the first day of the new school year, a transport ship arrived at the station. Many new students walked out. There were tall ones and short ones. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some glowed with soft light. And among them, almost invisible in the crowd, was a small human girl named Emma. Emma was 17 years old. She had long dark hair that she kept in a simple ponytail. Her eyes were brown and seemed tired, like she had seen too much for someone so young. She carried a small bag with everything she owned. She wore the gray uniform of the academy, but it looked too big on her thin body. Nobody noticed her at first. Humans were rare at the academy, but not unknown. 3 other humans had studied there before. They had come from Mars Colony or from the big space stations where humans lived in comfort and safety. Everyone thought Emma was the same. Her file said only one thing about her home: Earth, original settlement. The other students did not know what that meant. They did not know that Earth was different from Mars or the space stations. They did not know that Earth was the most dangerous planet any intelligent species had ever survived on. They would learn. But not yet. Emma found her room in the dormitory. It was small but clean. She had a bed, a desk, a window that showed the stars, and a small bathroom. She put her bag on the bed and looked around. For a moment, she smiled. This room was safe. No earthquakes. No storms. No wild animals. No disease. Just quiet and peace. She whispered to herself, maybe this will be good. The next morning, Emma went to her first class. She sat in the back and said nothing. The teacher was a being named Professor Zin. She had 6 arms, big eyes like an insect, and a kind voice. She taught comparative planetology, which meant she taught about different worlds and how they were formed. Emma listened carefully. She found it interesting that most planets were so calm. No volcanoes. No hurricanes. No predators. The other students talked about their homeworlds like they were paradise. Emma said nothing about Earth. At lunch, Emma sat alone. She ate the simple food the cafeteria offered and watched the other students. They moved in groups, laughing and talking. She did not know how to join them. On Earth, she had been alone too. The other kids had called her strange. Too quiet. Too serious. Too intense. She thought maybe things would be different here. She was wrong. A shadow fell over her table. Emma looked up and saw a being made of crystal. He was tall, almost 8 feet, and his body glowed with pale blue light. His name was Kevin, and he was from a moon called Pellucid. His world had low gravity, so his species had grown tall and delicate. They were beautiful but fragile. Behind Kevin stood 2 others. One was Lily, an avian girl from a world called Vespera. She had soft feathers and big dark eyes. Her world was always in twilight, never too bright or too dark. The other was Marcus. He looked almost human, but he wore a special suit filled with water. He came from an ocean world and could not breathe regular air for long. Kevin looked down at Emma. His crystal face could not smile, but his voice carried amusement. "You are the new human," he said. "You are small." Emma nodded. "Yes, I heard humans are fragile," Kevin continued. "I heard you die from simple things. A fall, a sickness. Even your own star can kill you if you stay under it too long." Emma said nothing. She knew all of this was true. Humans were fragile compared to many species. But they were also something else. something Kevin did not understand. Lily laughed, a sound like wind through bells. She does not even defend herself. How sad. Marcus made a wet bubbling sound that might have been a chuckle. Maybe she knows it is true. Maybe she knows she is weak. Kevin reached down and knocked Emma's datapad off the table. It fell to the floor with a clatter. "Oops," he said. So clumsy. Emma bent down and picked up her datapad. Her hands were steady. Her face showed nothing. Inside, she felt something old and familiar. It was the feeling she had when a storm was coming on Earth. The feeling of danger. But this was not danger. This was just cruelty. Small and petty cruelty from beings who had never known real hardship. She looked up at Kevin. "Thank you for the welcome," she said quietly. Then she picked up her tray and walked away. Kevin watched her go. He felt strange. He had expected her to cry or get angry or run away. But she had done none of those things. She had just looked at him with those tired brown eyes and walked away like he did not matter at all. "What a strange creature," Lily said. "Boring," Marcus added. "I thought humans were supposed to be interesting." Kevin said nothing. Something about Emma bothered him. She had not been afraid. Not even a little. Why? That night, Professor Zinn stayed late in her office. She was reviewing the files of all the new students. When she reached Emma's file, she stopped. She read the words, "Earth, Original Settlement," and felt her whole body go cold. She pulled up the data on Earth. She had never studied it closely before. Why would she? Humans were a minor species, barely known in the galaxy. But as she read, her 6 hands began to shake. Earth was classified as a death world. Class 12. The highest rating ever given. The scale only went to 10, but they had to extend it for Earth. She read about the predators, the diseases, the natural disasters, the extreme temperatures, the violent weather, the poisonous plants and animals, the earthquakes and volcanoes, the radiation from the sun. She read about humans, how they had evolved as persistence predators, chasing their prey for hours until the prey's heart gave out, how they had survived ice ages and plagues and wars, how they had domesticated wolves and other predators, how they climbed mountains and swam in oceans and jumped out of aircraft for fun. Professor Zinn put down her datapad. Her compound eyes were wide with horror. They had sent a child from Earth to the Academy. A child who had grown up in the most dangerous place in the known galaxy. And nobody had told anyone. She looked at Emma's photo. A small girl with dark hair and tired eyes. "Oh, you poor thing," Professor Zinn whispered. "What have you survived?" The rumors began the next morning. Professor Zinn called an emergency meeting. All the teachers of the academy gathered in the conference room. They were confused. Emergency meetings were rare. They only happened when something dangerous was about to occur. Professor Zinn stood at the front of the room. Her 6 hands were still shaking. The other teachers noticed. They had never seen her so upset. Professor Ben was the oldest teacher at the academy. He came from a world of gentle herbivores. His species had never known violence. They had evolved on a planet with no predators, no disasters, and perfect weather. He was kind and wise, with a huge body covered in soft gray fur and big, gentle eyes. "Zinn, what is wrong?" he asked. "You look like you have seen death itself." "I have," Professor Zinn replied. "Or at least, I have seen where death lives." She turned on the display screen. A blue and green planet appeared. It was beautiful, covered in oceans and clouds and green land. "This is Earth," she said, "the homeworld of the human species. One of our new students comes from this planet. Her name is Emma." Professor David, who taught physical education, leaned forward. He was a muscular being with 4 arms and rough gray skin. "I have heard of Earth. It is where the original humans evolved. Why is this an emergency?" because Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, the only one in known space. The room went silent. Professor Ben's gentle eyes grew wide. That is impossible. The danger scale only goes to 10. Class 10 means the planet is barely survivable. Class 12 would mean it means Earth is more dangerous than any planet we have ever recorded. Professor Zinn changed the display. Data began to scroll across the screen. Let me show you what Emma survived before she came here. The teachers watched in growing horror. The screen showed earthquakes that could destroy entire cities in minutes. Massive waves called tsunamis that could wash away coastlines. Volcanoes that spewed rivers of molten rock. Storms with winds strong enough to lift houses into the air. Lightning bolts that could kill with a single strike. Their weather alone would kill most species, Professor Zinn said. But that is only the beginning. The screen changed to show animals. Bears that stood 9 feet tall and could survive multiple gunshot wounds. Sharks that could smell a single drop of blood from miles away. Snakes with venom strong enough to kill in minutes. Insects that carried diseases. Spiders, wolves, lions, tigers. Professor Rose, who taught biology, made a sound of distress. She was a delicate being from a world of flowers and gentle breezes. These creatures share a planet with intelligent life? How has any human survived? Humans did not just survive, Professor Zinn replied. They became the apex predators of their world. They hunted these creatures. They domesticated some of them. They made the wolves into pets. They made predators into pets. Professor Ben could not believe it. Yes, they call them dogs now. Humans also domesticated horses, which are large animals that can kick hard enough to break bones. And cats, which are small predators with sharp claws. Humans find them cute. The room was silent again. Nobody knew what to say. Professor Zinn continued. But the animals are not the worst part. Earth is covered in tiny life forms called bacteria and viruses. They cause disease. They invade the body and try to kill from the inside. Humans have evolved an internal defense system that attacks and destroys these invaders. Their bodies are constantly at war with microscopic enemies. She showed more data. Plagues that had killed millions of humans throughout history. Diseases that still killed thousands every year. The constant battle between human immune systems and the tiny killers that lived everywhere on Earth. Humans also face danger from their own star, Professor Zinn added. The sun sends out radiation that can burn their skin and cause disease if they stay exposed too long. On most worlds, stars are gentle. On Earth, even the sun is trying to kill them. Professor David shook his head slowly. How does any species survive such a world? They adapt. They endure. They fight. Professor Zinn's voice was heavy with something like respect. Humans have a saying, what does not kill me makes me stronger. On Earth, everything is trying to kill them. So they become very, very strong. She changed the display one more time. It showed humans doing things that made no sense to the alien teachers. Climbing mountains covered in ice. Swimming in oceans filled with sharks. Jumping out of aircraft with only thin fabric to slow their fall. Running for hours through harsh terrain. They do these things for fun, Professor Zinn said. For entertainment. For sport. Professor Rose fainted. 2 other teachers caught her before she hit the floor. Professor Ben stood up slowly. His gentle face was troubled. This girl, Emma, she has lived through all of this. She has survived this. This hell world? Yes, and there is something else. Professor Zinn pulled up Emma's school record from Earth. She was bullied there too. The other human children called her strange and quiet. She did not fit in. That is why she was sent here. For a fresh start. So she has survived not only the physical dangers of Earth, but also the cruelty of her own kind. Professor Ben's voice was sad. "And now she faces more cruelty here. I have seen how Kevin and his friends treat her." Professor Zinn nodded. "She has not reported any bullying. She has not complained. She simply endures." "Of course she does," Professor David said quietly. "If you grew up fighting for your life against predators and diseases and natural disasters, what would the insults of children mean to you? Nothing. Less than nothing." The teachers looked at each other. They all felt the same thing: shame. They had allowed one of their students to be mistreated. And not just any student. A student who had survived things none of them could imagine. "What do we do?" Professor Rose asked. She had woken up and was sitting in a chair, still pale. "We watch," Professor Zinn said. "We protect her if we can. But we also need to be careful. Humans from death worlds are unpredictable. They have survival instincts that most species do not understand. If Emma feels truly threatened, she might react in ways that could hurt others. Has she shown any aggression?" Professor Ben asked. "No, she is quiet and gentle. But remember, she is holding back. On Earth, she learned to control herself because the world was dangerous. Here, she controls herself because she does not want to hurt anyone. But that control could break if she is pushed too far." The meeting ended. The teachers went back to their classes with heavy hearts. They looked at Emma differently now. They saw the small, quiet girl who sat in the back of class and said nothing. And they wondered what she was really thinking. Meanwhile, Emma went through her day like always. She attended her classes. She ate her meals alone. She ignored Kevin and Lily and Marcus when they laughed at her or knocked things from her hands. That night, she stood at the window of her room and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home, the place that had hurt her so many times, the place that had made her who she was. She did not miss it, but she understood it. Earth had taught her that the universe was cruel and beautiful at the same time. It had taught her that survival meant more than just living. It meant finding reasons to keep going, even when everything was trying to stop you. She pressed her hand against the cold glass of the window. "I am still here," she whispered. "I am still alive, and no one is going to break me. Not again." She did not know that the teachers were worried about her. She did not know that they had learned the truth about her homeworld. She only knew that she was alone, and that was okay. She had always been alone, but things were about to change. The incident. 3 months passed at the academy. Emma continued to be quiet and alone. She went to her classes, did her work, and stayed away from trouble. The bullying continued too. Kevin and his friends never stopped making her life difficult. They knocked her books down. They laughed at her in the hallways. They called her names, but Emma never reacted. She never cried. She never got angry. She just picked up her things and walked away. This made Kevin more and more frustrated. He wanted to see her break. He wanted to see her scared. But she never gave him what he wanted. The teachers watched carefully. Professor Zinn had told them all about Earth. They understood now why Emma was so calm. She had survived worse things than mean words and petty tricks. But they also worried that Kevin would push too far one day. That day came during physical education class. The gymnasium on Orion 7 was special. It could change its gravity to help students from different worlds exercise together. Today, Professor David had set up an obstacle course in zero gravity. Students would float through the air, using ropes and handles to pull themselves along. Emma had never experienced zero gravity before. On Earth, gravity was strong and constant. It pulled everything down. It broke bones when people fell. But here, she could float. She could fly. For the first time since arriving at the academy, she smiled. Kevin saw that smile. It made him angry. How dare she be happy? He wanted her to suffer. He waited until Emma was high up on the course, near the ceiling of the gymnasium. Then he did something terrible. He sabotaged her safety tether. He also turned off the gravity dampeners in that section of the room. Nobody noticed. Everyone was busy with their own part of the course. Only Lily and Marcus knew what Kevin had done. They watched with cruel smiles. Emma reached the high point of the course. She was almost 50 feet above the ground. Then her tether snapped. At the same moment, gravity returned. She fell. For everyone watching, time seemed to slow down. They saw the small human girl dropping through the air. They heard the snap of the broken tether. They knew what would happen next. Kevin's crystalline body would shatter from a fall like that. Lily would die instantly. Even Marcus, in his protective suit, would suffer terrible internal injuries. A fall from 50 feet was deadly for almost every species in the galaxy. But Emma did not scream. She did not panic. She did not freeze dot in the fraction of a second she had. Her body moved. It was not thinking. It was pure instinct. The instinct of a creature that had evolved on a world where death waited around every corner. She twisted in the air. She saw a support pillar rushing toward her. She reached out with both hands and grabbed it. Her fingers dug into the metal so hard that they left dents. Her body swung around the pillar, absorbing the force of the fall. Then she kicked off, aiming for a lower platform. She hit the platform and rolled. The roll took away more of the impact. Then she stood up. The gymnasium was completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Emma looked around at the horrified faces of her classmates. She did not understand why they looked so scared. Then she glanced up at where she had fallen from and understood. "Oh," she said. "That," she shrugged. "On Earth, we call that non-ideal but manageable." Kevin was shaking. His entire crystalline body was trembling. He had tried to hurt her, maybe kill her, and she had treated it like a minor problem. Like it was nothing special. Professor David was the first to move. He ran toward Emma, his forearms reaching for her. "Emma, are you injured? We need to get you to the medical bay." Emma blinked. "I feel fine. Why would I need medical attention?" "Your hands," Professor David said, pointing. Emma looked down. Her palms were torn. The skin had ripped when she grabbed the metal pillar. Blood was dripping from her fingers onto the floor. Bright red blood. The color of iron. She had not even noticed. "Oh," she said again. "I guess I should get that looked at." She turned to walk toward the door. On her way, she passed Kevin. She stopped and looked at him. Kevin could not move. He was frozen in terror. This small creature had just survived something that would have killed him. And now she was looking at him with those tired brown eyes. She must know he had done it. She must be angry. She must want revenge. But Emma just looked at him for a moment. Then she said, "Are you okay? You look pale." "Well, paler than usual." Kevin could not answer. His voice would not work. Emma shrugged and kept walking. She left bloody handprints on the door as she pushed it open. After she was gone, the gymnasium exploded into chaos. Students were shouting and crying and asking questions. Professor David was trying to calm them down. But in the middle of it all, Kevin just stood there, unable to move. Lily flew over to him. "Kevin, what is wrong with you?" "We did it. We scared her." "No," Kevin whispered. "We did not scare her. She was not scared at all. Did you see her face? She was not even worried." Marcus bubbled up beside them. "She's just pretending. She must be scared inside. She's not pretending." Kevin's voice was hollow. "She looked at me like I was nothing. Like I was an insect. Like I could not hurt her no matter what I did." Professor David walked over to them. His face was hard. "I saw what you did, Kevin. I saw you near the gravity controls before Emma fell. I am reporting this to the headmaster." Kevin did not argue. He did not defend himself. He just nodded and walked away. That night, the truth about Emma spread through the academy. Students researched Earth. They learned what Professor Zinn had learned weeks ago. They discovered that their quiet, small classmate came from a world of nightmares. They discovered that the girl they had bullied and laughed at and ignored had survived things that would kill any of them in seconds. And they discovered something else. Something that scared them even more than the Thanos, predators and diseases and natural disasters of Earth. They discovered that Emma had let them bully her. She had never fought back because she did not want to hurt them. She had controlled herself, held back her survival instincts, and endured their cruelty in silence, because if she had not held back, she could have destroyed them without even trying. In the medical bay, Emma sat on a bed while a medical robot bandaged her hands. The doctor, a gentle being with many tentacles, looked at her with concern. "Does it hurt?" the doctor asked. "A little," Emma admitted. "But I have worse. I broke my arm twice when I was young. I got a bad infection once that made me see things that were not there. I almost drowned in a river. I got caught in a forest fire and had to run for hours." She shrugged. "This is nothing." The doctor stared at her. "You have experienced all of that before the age of 18? That is normal on Earth. Most humans have stories like mine. Some have worse." The doctor was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Emma, I am sorry for what you have been through." Emma looked confused. "Why? It was not your fault. I am sorry that the universe has been so cruel to you. And I am sorry that even here, away from your dangerous world, you still face cruelty." Emma was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, just a little. "Thank you. That is kind of you." She paused. "But I do not need you to feel sorry for me. Earth made me strong. And the bullying here, it does not hurt me. Not really. I have learned that cruelty says more about the person being cruel than the person being hurt." The doctor nodded slowly. "You are very wise for someone so young." "I am not wise," Emma said. "I am just tired. And I want to believe that there is more to life than just surviving. That is why I came here. To find something worth surviving for." She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, her hell world. Her home. "I hope I find it," she whispered. "I really hope I find it." The truth comes out. The news about Emma spread like fire through the academy. Within a day, every student knew about the fall. They knew about her torn hands and the bloody handprints on the door. They knew that she had survived something that would have killed most of them. And they knew about Earth. Students gathered in groups, sharing what they had learned. They talked in whispers, as if afraid that Emma might hear them. As if she was something dangerous that might attack if disturbed. "Did you hear? Her planet has creatures called bears. They can survive being shot multiple times and keep attacking. I read that humans chase their prey until the prey dies from exhaustion. They just keep running and running until the other animal's heart gives out. Their planet has storms that create spirals of wind strong enough to destroy buildings. And humans go out to watch them. For fun. They have a sport where they hit each other in the face until one of them cannot stand anymore. They pay money to watch this. Their babies are born completely helpless and cannot walk for a whole year. On a world full of predators, how does any human baby survive?" The fear was everywhere. Students who had never spoken to Emma now avoided her completely. They changed direction when they saw her coming. They left the cafeteria when she entered. They whispered when she walked past. Emma noticed. Of course, she noticed. She was not stupid. But she did not understand why everything had changed so suddenly. The bullying had stopped, yes, but this was somehow worse. Being feared felt more lonely than being hated. One day in the library, a small voice spoke to her. "Excuse me? Are you Emma?" Emma looked up. A tiny being stood beside her table. Her name was Grace. She was only 3 feet tall, with big eyes and soft pink fur. Her species came from a world of perfect peace. They had never known violence or danger of any kind. "Yes," Emma said. "I am Emma." Grace was trembling, but she did not run away. "Can I ask you something?" "About Earth?" "Of course." Grace sat down across from her. She was shaking so badly that her fur rippled. "Is it true that your planet has creatures called bears that can survive being shot many times?" Emma thought about it. "Yes, that is true. Some bears are very large and very tough. But most humans never see a bear in their whole lives. They live in wild areas, away from cities. Your grandfather fought one off with a stick?" Emma smiled a little at the memory. "A hiking stick, yes. He was in the mountains and surprised a mother bear with cubs. He yelled and waved the stick until she decided he was not worth the trouble. He has a scar on his shoulder from where she scratched him. He is very proud of it." Grace's big eyes got even bigger. "He is proud of being attacked by a predator. He is proud of surviving. On Earth, surviving means you did something right. Every scar is a story." Grace was quiet for a moment. Then she asked another question. "Is it true that your species eats other species? The flesh of animals?" "Yes. Humans are omnivores. We eat plants and meat. You eat plants too." Emma paused. "Is that surprising? On my world, some plants are intelligent. They can think and feel. The idea of eating them is horrible." Oh, Emma had never considered that. The plants we eat are not intelligent. They cannot think or feel. At least, we are pretty sure they cannot. She frowned. "I think." Grace made a small sound of distress. For a moment, Emma worried she would faint. But Grace took a deep breath and steadied herself. "One more question," Grace said. "Why are you so kind? If your world is so dangerous and cruel, why are you not dangerous and cruel too?" Emma did not answer right away. She looked at Grace, at her soft pink fur and trembling body. She thought about the question. It was a good question, the best one anyone had asked her since she arrived at the academy. "Because being cruel does not help you survive," Emma finally said. "On Earth, we learned that very early. The humans who survived the longest were the ones who worked together, who protected each other, who shared food and shelter and warmth. Cruelty might help you in the short term, but kindness helps you in the long term. Earth taught us that every person you are kind to might be the person who saves your life later." Grace stared at her. "So you are kind because it helps you survive?" "At first, maybe. But then it becomes something more. You are kind because it feels right. Because making someone else's life better makes your own life better too. Because even in a world that is trying to kill you every day, there is still beauty and love and friendship. And those things make survival worth it." Grace was crying now. Small tears ran down her pink fur. "That is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard." Emma felt uncomfortable. She was not used to being praised. "It is just the truth." Grace reached out and touched Emma's hand, the one that was still bandaged from the fall. "I was scared of you. Everyone is scared of you now. But I do not think they should be. I think they should listen to you. I think we could all learn something from someone who comes from a world like yours." Emma smiled. It was her first real smile since arriving at the academy. "Thank you, Grace. That means a lot to me." That evening, Emma found Kevin waiting outside her dormitory room. He was alone. His crystalline body was dim, almost dark. In his species, that meant shame and sadness. "Emma," he said. His voice was quiet. "I need to talk to you." Emma stopped walking but did not move closer. Okay, I know you know what I did. In the gymnasium, I sabotaged your tether. I turned off the gravity dampeners. He paused. I wanted to hurt you. Maybe even kill you. I was angry. You never reacted to anything I did. I felt powerless. I wanted to make you afraid. Emma listened without expression. When you fell, I thought you would die. And I did not care. I wanted you to die. Kevin's light flickered. But then you survived. You grabbed that pillar and you swung down and you stood up like nothing had happened. And I realized something. What did you realize? Emma asked. I realized that I was the weak one. Not you. I was the one who was scared. I was so scared of you being different that I wanted to destroy you. But you were never a threat. You were just quiet and strange and alone. Just like I was when I first came to this academy. Kevin's crystalline form began to shake. I came from a world where I was special, where everyone looked like me and thought like me. When I came here and saw so many different species, I was terrified. I did not know how to fit in, so I made myself feel powerful by making others feel weak. But it was never real power. It was just fear pretending to be strength. Emma was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. On Earth, we have a word for what you did. We call it bullying. It happens when someone feels small, so they try to make others feel smaller. I was bullied on Earth too. Kids called me quiet and weird and too intense. What did you do about it? I survived. Like I always do. Emma stepped closer to Kevin. But I also learned something. Hurt people hurt people. Scared people try to scare people. The ones who are cruelest are usually the ones who are suffering the most inside. Kevin's light flickered again. I could have killed you today. Maybe, but you did not. And honestly, Kevin, I have survived worse. Emma looked at him with those tired brown eyes. On Earth, I nearly drowned when I was 7. I was caught in a wildfire when I was 9. I had a fever so high when I was 12 that I saw things that were not there for 3 days. Your bullying? It was nothing. Not because I am strong, but because Earth taught me that everything is trying to kill you and you survive anyway. That is what humans do. We survive. How can you be so calm about it? Kevin asked. Emma thought about the question. Because being angry at a dangerous universe does not make it less dangerous. But being kind? That makes survival mean something. She reached out and touched Kevin's crystalline arm. He flinched but did not pull away. I forgive you, Emma said. Not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger is heavy, and I am tired of carrying heavy things. But Kevin, if you ever try to hurt anyone again, I will stop you. And I am very good at surviving. Which means I am also very good at making sure others survive too. Kevin nodded. I understand. Good. Emma stepped back. Now go get some rest. You look terrible. Despite everything, Kevin almost laughed. You are very strange, Emma. I know, she said. Earth made me that way. The Hellworld ambassador, 3 years passed at the Galactic Academy. Everything changed after the incident in the gymnasium. Kevin stopped bullying people. Instead, he started defending those who were picked on, using his tall crystalline form to shield smaller students from harm. Lily and Marcus followed his example. They realized that cruelty had brought them nothing but emptiness, and they wanted something more. Most importantly, they became Emma's friends. At first, it was awkward. Kevin did not know how to apologize for what he had done. Emma did not know how to accept friendship after being alone for so long. But slowly, carefully, they built something real. They studied together. They ate meals together. They talked about their homeworlds and their fears and their dreams. Emma told them about Earth. She told them about the mountains she had climbed and the rivers she had swum. She told them about the storm she had watched from her window and the stars she had wished upon at night. She told them that Earth was dangerous and cruel, but also beautiful beyond words. "The sunsets," she said one evening, as they sat together in the observation lounge. "You cannot imagine the sunsets. The sky turns orange and pink and purple, and everything glows like it is on fire. And the oceans, massive and blue and full of life. And the forests, green and alive, with birds singing in the trees. Earth is trying to kill you, yes, but it is also showing you why life is worth living." Kevin listened with wonder. Lily wiped tears from her feathered face. Marcus bubbled quietly in his suit, moved beyond words. "You love your planet," Grace said softly. She had become Emma's closest friend, despite being afraid of her at first. "Even after everything it did to you." "Of course I love it," Emma replied. "It is my home. It made me who I am. I would not trade that for anything." The years passed quickly. Emma became one of the best students at the academy. She excelled in science and history and languages. She learned about dozens of different worlds and species. She made friends from every corner of the galaxy, but she never forgot where she came from. And she never stopped being the quiet, tired girl with brown eyes who survived everything the universe threw at her. On the day of graduation, the great hall of the academy was filled with thousands of beings. Students and teachers and dignitaries from across 12 star systems gathered to celebrate. It was the biggest class in the history of the academy, and everyone knew that one student in particular had made this year special. Emma had been chosen to give the graduation speech. She stood backstage, wearing a simple gray dress. Her hands were shaking. She had faced bears and fires and floods and diseases, but this was somehow scarier. She had never been good at speaking in front of people. Kevin found her there, hiding behind a curtain. His crystalline form glowed bright blue now, a sign of happiness and peace. "Are you ready?" he asked. "No," Emma admitted. "I do not know what to say." "What can I tell them that they do not already know?" "Tell them the truth," Kevin said. "That is what you have always done. That is why we love you." Emma looked at him. "You love me?" "Of course. You are my best friend. You saved me from becoming something terrible. You showed me that strength and kindness can exist in the same person." Kevin's light flickered warmly. "You showed all of us that. Now go show everyone else." Emma took a deep breath. Then she walked onto the stage. The great hall fell silent. Thousands of eyes looked at her. Beings from worlds she had never visited and species she had only read about. They were all waiting to hear what the human from the Death World had to say. Emma stepped up to the podium. She looked out at the crowd. She saw Professor Zinn, her compound eyes shining with pride. She saw Professor Ben, the gentle elder, nodding encouragingly. She saw Kevin and Lily and Marcus and Grace in the front row, smiling at her. She took another breath. Then she began to speak. "When I came to this academy 3 years ago, I was just a girl from Earth. You called my planet a hell world, and you were right. Earth is violent and unpredictable and harsh. It has predators that can kill you in seconds and diseases that can kill you in days. It has weather that can destroy cities and earthquakes that can swallow them whole. It breaks you down and expects you to get back up. It teaches you that nothing is safe, nothing is guaranteed, and nothing is free." She paused. The audience was completely still. But Earth also teaches you something beautiful. It teaches you that survival is not enough. What makes life worth living is not avoiding death. It is finding meaning despite death. It is protecting the people who cannot protect themselves. It is building something that lasts beyond your own brief existence. She looked at her friends in the front row. "You feared me when you learned where I came from. Some of you still fear me. But I want you to understand something. Humans are not strong because we come from a dangerous world. We are strong because that world taught us to love fiercely, to fight for what matters, and to never, ever give up on each other. Her voice grew stronger. When I was bullied at this academy, I did not fight back. Not because I was weak, but because fighting would have only created more pain. Instead, I waited. I endured. And eventually, the people who hurt me became the people who understood me. The people who feared me became the people who loved me. That is the true lesson of Earth. Not that violence makes you strong, but that patience and kindness and hope can turn enemies into friends. Emma felt tears forming in her eyes, but she did not stop. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders I am only beginning to understand. But I promise you this. Wherever I go, whatever I face, I will remember that I am not just a survivor. I am an ambassador. For my planet, for my species, and for the idea that the hardest roads create the strongest travelers. She paused one last time, then smiled. Earth made me, but it did not make me cruel. It made me kind, because I know how much cruelty hurts. And if a Hellworld can produce kindness, then I believe this galaxy can too. Thank you. The applause was like thunder. Every being in the great hall was standing, cheering, crying. Kevin's crystalline form blazed so bright that he looked like a star. Grace was sobbing openly, her pink fur damp with tears. Even Professor Ben, who never showed strong emotion, was wiping his gentle eyes. Emma stood at the podium, surrounded by sound and light and love. For the first time in her life, she did not feel alone. She did not feel strange or quiet or too intense. She felt like she belonged. After the ceremony, there was a celebration. Music and food and dancing from 100 different cultures. Emma was surrounded by friends and well-wishers. People she had never spoken to came to shake her hand and thank her for her words. Late in the evening, she escaped to the observation lounge. She needed a moment of quiet. She stood at the window and looked out at the stars. Kevin found her there, just as he had found her before the speech. He stood beside her in comfortable silence. What will you do now? He asked eventually. Emma thought about the question. I want to go home. Just for a visit. I want to see the sunsets and the oceans and the forests. I want to remember why I survived. And then? Then I want to come back. To the galaxy. To everything that is waiting out there. She smiled. Earth taught me to survive. But the Academy taught me to live. I want to do both for as long as I can. Kevin nodded. You know, when I first saw you, I thought you were the weakest being I had ever met. Small and quiet and scared. I was scared, Emma admitted. I was scared of not fitting in. Of being alone forever. Of never finding a place where I belonged. And now? Emma looked at him. At her friend. At the person who had once tried to hurt her and was now standing beside her, supporting her, loving her. Now I know that belonging is not about finding the right place. It is about finding the right people. And I found them. Right here. In the last place I expected. Kevin's light glowed warmly. I am glad you came to our academy, Emma from Earth. I am glad you survived. Emma smiled. So am I. Behind him, the stars stretched out forever. Millions of worlds. Billions of species. An infinite universe full of danger and beauty and possibility. And one small human girl from a Hellworld, ready to face all of it. Because that is what humans do. They survive. They endure. They hope. And sometimes, if they are very lucky, they find something worth surviving for. Emma looked at the stars one more time. Then she turned and walked back to her friends, ready for whatever came next. The end.